Well, we got no choice but to let it rain because that's what's happening across mid-Michigan, West Michigan. It's a soggy day, and it was a soggy day yesterday, too. Oh, I thought April showers were supposed to bring May flowers, and now we're getting May showers, so we're going to get June flowers? I don't know about that. I wonder what it means to all the farmers, too, across the state of Michigan with their crops. I understand they've been struggling with all this wet stuff because they have a very small window in which they can plant. So it's tough stuff, but the raindrops keep falling on our heads, as Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid used to say. Paul Newman and Robert Redford, remember them? Now, there was a bill that passed the House the other day. We've been talking about it for some time. Children under 10 years old will be allowed to hunt. It's called the Mentored Youth Hunting License, and it's a $7.50 fee. And it's passed the House. And basically, there were all sorts of possible stipulations, too, including would the child have to stand close to you? Could you have more than one child out there at a time? What are the safety provisions? Is there one rifle between two people and the adult hands the child the rifle? Can they both have rifles? How will it all shake out? They were also talking about having a sort of an early hunting period just for the young people. And the question that we had for hunters is, wouldn't that scare away all the deer with the kids out there shooting around before the regular opening day? Those are some of the questions that are still sort of yet to be answered in this, and we're going to speak with State Representative Dave Agema in just a couple of minutes. He was a Republican who voted no against this legislation, so if we can get in touch with him, we'll find out why he decided to vote no, and what happens next to that bill, and that is him on the other end of our line right now. Good morning, Representative. How are you?
Good morning. You got me out of bed.
Thank you very much. This youth mentored hunting license that we've been hearing a lot about for months, you voted against it. How come?
Well, I'm not against the younger people getting in there hunting with their parents. That's never been my issue. I don't think that's a good idea. And what I was trying to figure out here in the last little bit is, when these kids are allowed to hunt, are they going to be allowed to hunt in that youth hunt as well? Mm-hmm. See, we have a youth hunt prior to the bow season. Then we have the bow season, and we have the regular hunting season for deer. And what I don't like about the youth hunt is the youth are allowed to go out ahead of the other seasons, and they shoot, and the deer become wily, and they go nocturnal. So what usually happens is, what I found anyway, since the youth hunt begun, the bow hunting season is ruined for a lot of hunters because the deer are already skittish. And then, of course, when you get into the regular season, I think less deer are taken. So my issue was not so much the age, as it was the fact that these kids are already in the woods making these deer go nocturnal, so you're going to get actually less deer. That was the issue. It had nothing to do with the age. Matter of fact, I take my grandkids hunting, but I'd prefer to see them go during the regular season with their parents hunting, and I intend to do that if this goes through.
The youth hunt season that already exists, is that a bow season only, and now it will become it's rifle too?
Yes, so that's my issue with that. We've seen, at least where I'm at, the deer just plain going nocturnal on us, and then we don't have an opportunity to shoot them as well. So that's kind of the issue for me. It's not so much the age. And quite frankly, some of the places that I hunt around the little cabin that I have up there, I got 32 acres. I think some of the people just have an excuse to go with their youth just to get another deer or so a year. I'm not even sure the youth are shooting, but in either case, it's not the age. To me, it's just that the deer are going nocturnal.
There was talk, and I don't know how the final bill came out looking, and I presume it goes to the Senate now, but there were provisions where maybe there would be only one gun between the adult and the child, and that you could only have a certain number of your kids with you when you went out on this youth hunt if they were under 10 years old. Do you know the nuts and bolts of the bill?
On that one, I think that you're exactly correct. I think there's just one gun. That's fine. That's still not the issue for me. Matter of fact, I have trained in my grandkids as we speak now. I got a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old, but I take them out and teach them how to shoot the correct way, the safe way. Again, for me, it's just the fact that I don't agree with the early season for the youth. And if I believe under this bill that would allow that to occur as well. Number one, give the opportunity for those that like to break the law just to go out and get another deer with their kid. Versus most that would go and let the child shoot, I'm sure, as well. And the fact that they go nocturnal, that was my issue.
Yeah, I guess I could see somebody saying, well, I'm going to get a head start on everyone. I'm going to get a deer. Come on, Billy, you're going along with me. And he's 7 years old, and he says, what, Dad? Where's my iPod? Never mind that.
I know that happens. It doesn't happen in probably most of the cases, but I know that happens, at least up where I'm at. Sometimes I think they hunt 365 days a year up there, but in either case, that's the issue for me. I just didn't like it. We saw a drastic lack of deer, if you will, during the opening of bow season because of that youth hunt. And then, again, you start chasing a deer during the day in an early season, they'll just simply start going nocturnal and don't come out until, it starts.
Because you were an airline pilot, I wonder how closely you've been sort of monitoring the results from the Air France 447 flight. They're saying now that they've found some of the, they've been able to salvage pieces of it from the ocean, that it may have stalled. The sensors show that the aircraft simply was going too slow.
I haven't been following it, but if it's the one I think it is, I believe that's the one that they think that they might have had an airspeed issue.
Yeah, exactly.
Or an issue with their air data computer. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, there were faulty readings from airspeed sensors, and it caused the autopilot to shut down in bad weather, and a low-speed stall occurs, which, as I understand, is fixable by letting the aircraft sort of nose down until you get enough lift to pull it back up out.
Yeah, well, that's no question. I mean, if you're going too slow, you got to do one of two things. You got to push the nose over to get more airspeed, or you got to put the power up. I believe, I'm not sure if we're talking about the same thing here, and that box will determine it, but it could have been a static port. Matter of fact, it's funny you mentioned this. My son had the same problem here just a week and a half ago, flying a G5, where he had a static port freeze over, and it gives erroneous indications both in the co-pilot and the captain's airspeed indicator. And if you're not paying attention, what will happen is the airplane just doesn't know what it's doing. One side thought it was going too fast, so it started throwing the throttles to idle gradually. You have auto throttles on the airplane. And the pilot side, just all the instruments stayed static. They didn't move at all. So my son ended up doing is just turning off the autopilot, throwing the throttles to max power, leveling off and trying to figure out what's going on. That's very insidious. I've been given that very emergency in the simulator when I work with American Airlines, and it just gives you all kinds of readings that don't really get you to what the problem is. It was simply a frozen over static port. So I believe that might be the case, but I'm not sure we're talking about the same case. I know there was an Air France that did do this, and they think that's exactly what caused that with the static port freezing. And again, with my son's case, it's just because he was taking off in one of the foreign countries in a rainstorm, and the rain was kind of sideways rain, and just blew that rain into that static port. And when he climbed up to 30,000 feet, that froze in there, and it gives the erroneous airspeed indications. And it's very insidious. It just happens, and when you look at your indicators on the airplane, there's all kinds of things going wrong, autopilot's going off.
Well, glad to hear the flying Agemas are okay. That's State Representative Dave Agema with a scary story there. Thank you, sir, very much.